There's a moment in life when we all start searching for the answer, searching for direction, searching for something that feels missing. We look outside ourselves, to people, to money, to recognition, to approval. We think the key to our destiny lies somewhere out there. But the truth is, everything you need has been inside you all along. The problem is, most people never stop long enough to look within. They doubt, they hesitate, they wait for permission. But let me tell you something, you don't need permission to shine. You don't need validation to rise. You don't need someone else to hand you what's already yours. Everything you need, the courage, the faith, the discipline, the strength, the wisdom, it's already in you. You just need to wake it up. There's something powerful that happens when a person finally decides to believe in themselves. Not halfway, not when it's convenient, not when the world applauds them, but deep down in the quiet moments when no one's watching and everything seems uncertain. That's where belief is born. Because every great story you've ever heard started with someone who didn't feel ready. The truth is, no one ever feels ready. The Wright brothers didn't have a fancy education in aeronautics. They just had a dream that refused to die. They didn't wait for permission. They believed they could fly before anyone else believed it was even possible. And look at Oprah Winfrey, a young girl who faced pain, poverty, and rejection. People told her she wasn't fit for television, that she didn't belong. But she didn't let that define her. She didn't need the world to validate her potential. She decided she was enough. And that decision changed everything. That's what belief does. It shifts your entire reality. It transforms how you walk, how you talk, how you see yourself. See, most people never begin because they think they need more time, more money, more support, more clarity. They wait for the right moment. But there is no right moment. There's only now. Belief is the seed of every achievement. It's invisible at first. It doesn't make noise. But once it's planted and nurtured, it grows into something unstoppable. When you don't believe you're enough, you play small. You shrink yourself to fit into spaces you've outgrown. You silence your voice because you think someone else's is louder, smarter, or more deserving. You hide your gifts because you're afraid they might not be good enough. But when you believe you're enough, something shifts inside you. You start to move like someone who's destined for greatness. You start walking differently. You start showing up differently. You start speaking from a place of conviction instead of fear. Belief doesn't mean you won't feel fear. It doesn't mean you won't have doubts or second guess yourself. It means you act in spite of it. Fear might be in the car, but it doesn't get to drive. You take the wheel and say, I may not have it all figured out, but I know who I am. I know I've got something valuable inside me. That's power. That's belief. And you don't need anyone else to give you that. No one can hand it to you because no one else knows the fire that's burning inside you. People will doubt you. They'll question your dreams, your ability, your direction. They might even laugh. But the most dangerous thing you can do is start believing their doubts more than your own potential. When you let their noise drown out your voice, you lose your power. The world doesn't need another person who gives up because someone else didn't believe in them. It needs people who believe in themselves when no one else does. I've seen people rise from nothing simply because they decided to believe they were enough. A single mother who worked 2 jobs but still went back to school. A young man who failed again and again but refused to let failure define him. A woman who left an abusive relationship and built her own business from scratch. None of them had guarantees. They had belief. And belief was enough to carry them through. There's a power inside you that's been waiting to be activated. It's been sitting there quietly, waiting for you to give it permission to lead. But too often we bury it under doubt, fear, and comparison. We say, I'll start when I'm ready. But being ready isn't a feeling, it's a decision. You don't wait to feel confident before you take the first step. You take the first step, and then confidence shows up. Think of a baby learning to walk. They fall, they stumble, they cry, but they get back up. They don't say, maybe walking just isn't for me. No, they keep trying because they were made to walk. And so were you. You were made to rise. You were made to move forward, even when you don't have it all figured out. The same creator that put the stars in the sky puts strength in your spirit. Everything you need is already within you. You just have to start trusting it. And yes, the world will test that belief. Life will throw challenges your way to see if you mean what you say. It'll whisper, you can't do this, just to see if you'll agree. But that's when you have to stand firm and remind yourself, I am enough. I may not have everything I want yet, but I have everything I need to begin. Every person you admire started at zero. Every hero you respect once questioned themselves, but they didn't let that stop them. They used their doubt as fuel. They turned fear into fire. They decided that even if the world wasn't ready to believe in them, they would believe in themselves. Belief is not arrogance. It's not ego. It's awareness. It's understanding that your worth doesn't depend on someone else's approval. It's recognizing that your value was built into you from the start. You were born with purpose. You were born with potential. You were born with power. The question is, when will you stop doubting it? The moment you believe you are enough, you stop begging life for permission. You stop waiting for signs. You stop apologizing for wanting more. You stop shrinking to make others comfortable. You start taking up space. You start building instead of wishing. You start speaking from a place of truth instead of fear. Belief isn't just about success. It's about peace. Because when you finally know who you are, you stop letting the world tell you who you're not. You stop chasing validation that was never meant to complete you. You stop comparing your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20. You begin to understand that your timing is your own and your story is unfolding exactly as it should. Every mountain you've climbed, every failure you've faced, every storm you've survived, it's proof that you're capable. You've already made it through things you once thought would break you. So what makes you think you can't rise again? You've got the evidence. You've got the strength. You've got the fire. Believing in yourself doesn't mean you won't fall. It means you'll keep getting back up. It means you'll keep showing up, even when it's hard. It means you'll keep pushing, even when no one claps. Because deep down, you know, you are enough. You always have been. You always will be. And when that belief takes root in your spirit, the world changes. Opportunities start to appear where there were once walls. Doors open that you didn't even know existed. People start to see what you've known all along, that there's greatness inside you, and it's been waiting for this moment. So believe, not someday, not when it's easy. Believe now, because the only thing standing between where you are and where you could be is whether you choose to believe that you are already enough to begin. We live in a time where everyone's eyes are on what they don't have. People wake up in the morning, scroll through their phones, and instantly compare their lives to someone else's highlight reel. Someone has a bigger house, someone has a nicer car, someone's business looks more successful, someone's life seems perfect. And in that comparison, we lose sight of our own blessings. We start believing that we're not enough because we don't have what they have. But let me tell you something. Greatness has never been about having more. It's about doing more with what you already have. You don't need the best tools, the best timing, or the best environment to start. You need the best effort. You need the courage to start where you are with what you have and let that be enough for now. Because the truth is, The world doesn't reward the one with the most resources. It rewards the one who makes the most of their resources. Think of that kid in the neighborhood with a basketball and a dream. He doesn't have sponsors. He doesn't have expensive shoes or private coaches. But he's out there every morning before the sun rises, practicing jump shots on cracked pavement, believing that one day, those early mornings will turn into something real. He doesn't need a crowd to cheer him on. He needs discipline. He doesn't need validation. He needs consistency. And that's what separates dreamers from doers. Because some people wait for the perfect opportunity while others create it with what they've got. There's a story I once heard about a woman who loved to bake cupcakes. She had nothing fancy, just one small oven and a simple kitchen. She didn't have investors or a team or a big bakery, but she had passion, she had heart, and she had faith in what she could create. So she started small, baking for family, then friends, then local events. People started to talk about her cupcakes, how good they were, how different they tasted. That one oven that once seemed too small became the foundation of a national brand. And you know what she said when asked how she started? She said, "I stopped waiting for perfect and started with possible." That's it right there. Stop waiting for perfect, start with possible. Too many people waste years waiting for the right moment, the right tools, the right people, the right sign from the universe. But the right moment never comes. The only right moment is now. Every great empire began with something small, a seed, a spark, a single step forward. When you use what you have, something powerful happens. You begin to multiply your potential. See, life rewards movement. It rewards faith in action. The moment you take a small step, doors start opening that you didn't even know were there. But if you sit still, waiting for more, you'll miss the chance to discover what's possible with less. People say, "I'll start when I have enough money." No, start now. "I'll chase my dream when I have more support." No, chase it now. "I'll believe in myself when things get easier." No, believe in yourself while it's hard. Because waiting for better conditions is just another form of fear. It's disguised hesitation. It's comfort dressed up as logic. But comfort never built a legacy. Comfort never created change. Think about some of the greatest stories in history. They all started small. Thomas Edison had 1,000 failed experiments before he invented the light bulb. He didn't wait for more money or better tools. He used what he had. The Wright brothers didn't have advanced technology. They used scraps of wood and fabric to chase a dream that everyone called impossible. Even the world's greatest artists started with blank canvases, cheap paint, and raw passion. The common thread is this: they used what they had. And you've got something too. Maybe it's not much by the world's standards, but it's enough. Maybe it's your voice, your gift, your vision, your story, your resilience. Whatever it is, it's valuable. Don't overlook it. Don't underestimate it. Don't wait for someone else to give you permission to use it. You've been blessed with something that no one else has. Your perspective, your experience, your fire. That's what the world needs. But it's not enough to just have potential. You've got to use it. You've got to put it to work. Too many people bury their gifts under excuses. They say, "If only I had what they have, I could do more." But that's not how success works. Success doesn't come from what's in your hand. It comes from what's in your heart. Because even if you had everything, without belief and effort, it would mean nothing. I've seen people with very little create something incredible because they refuse to let limitations define them. I've seen young men who grew up in broken homes build businesses from scratch. I've seen women who were told they'd never make it rise up and lead nations, not because they had more, but because they used what they had. And let's be real, using what you have doesn't always look glamorous. Sometimes it means working long hours while everyone else sleeps. Sometimes it means learning new skills when you'd rather rest. Sometimes it means saying no to distractions and yes to discipline, but that's the price of progress. That's how you turn small beginnings into big results. So many of us underestimate the power of small steps. We think success comes overnight, but it never does. Every great achievement is built on hundreds of small, unseen efforts. Every champion was once a beginner. Every masterpiece started with one brushstroke. Every success story started with a simple decision to use what they had and make it work. And that's the message you need to carry with you. Stop comparing your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20. Stop telling yourself you're not ready. Stop believing the lie that you need more to begin. You already have enough to take the first step. And once you take that step, you'll realize something. The act of moving forward creates momentum. Each small victory builds confidence, and each ounce of effort brings you closer to your purpose. Maybe you've got a dream buried inside you that you've been putting off. Maybe you've been waiting for a sign, waiting for the money, waiting for the timing. This is your sign. The timing is now. The world is waiting on what only you can give. Don't let your potential go to waste because you're waiting for something more. You've got everything you need to start. Use your voice, your hands, your ideas, your time. Whatever you have, give it your best. It might look small now, but one day you'll look back and realize that what you started in faith became something extraordinary. That's how greatness begins. Not with perfection, but with action. Because when you stop waiting and start using what you've got, you discover something powerful. You were never lacking anything at all. Everything you needed to rise, to build, to create, it was with you from the very start. All you had to do was believe in it enough to begin. You said, we all want the easy road. We want the smooth path, the shortcut, the guarantee that everything will work out just the way we planned. But life doesn't work like that. And deep down, we know it. Because it's the hard days, the ones that break you down, the ones that test your patience, your faith, your will, that shape who you really are. You don't grow when everything's comfortable. You don't grow when the sun is always shining. You grow when you walk through the storm and decide not to turn back. Everybody wants to win, but not everyone wants to fight through what winning requires. Everyone wants success, but very few are willing to face the pain that comes with it. But here's the truth. Your struggles are not your weakness. They're your weapons. They're the very tools life uses to prepare you for your purpose. You can't have strength without struggle, just like you can't have light without darkness. You can't know who you truly are until life pushes you to the edge, and you have to decide whether you'll break or build. Think about it. Every person who has achieved greatness carries scars you'll never see. They faced rejection, failure, heartbreak, doubt, and fear. But they didn't stop there. They learned to turn their pain into power. Every setback, every loss, every disappointment wasn't punishment. It was preparation. It was life saying, I'm making you stronger. I'm building something in you that comfort could never create. When life knocks you down, it's not trying to destroy you. It's trying to develop you. When the pressure feels unbearable, that's not the end. That's the process. The muscle doesn't grow without resistance. The mind doesn't sharpen without challenge. The soul doesn't mature without struggle. Every ounce of pain you've endured has been shaping something inside you, something solid, something unbreakable. There's a story about a young man who dreamed of becoming a boxer. He had talent, but he hated training. Every time his coach pushed him, he'd complain. Every time he got hit, he'd say it wasn't fair. Until one day, the coach said, if you can't handle the punches in training, how will you handle the ones in the ring? That's life. The challenges you face right now, they're training. They're preparing you for the fight ahead. The hits you take today are making sure you're ready when the real battle comes. We often pray for an easier life, but maybe we should start praying for a stronger spirit, because easy doesn't build anything lasting. Easy doesn't reveal your character. Easy doesn't stretch you into the person you were meant to be. If everything came without resistance, you'd never learn how to fight, how to endure, how to persevere. You'd never know your true capacity. You'd never know what you're capable of when everything seems impossible. There's beauty in the struggle, even if you can't see it now. Some of the greatest blessings come wrapped in pain. You lose a job, and it feels like your world is falling apart, but maybe it's clearing the way for the dream you've been too afraid to chase. A relationship ends, and it hurts like nothing else. But maybe it's teaching you self-worth and strength you didn't know you had. You fail again and again, but each failure is shaping your resilience, your discipline, your hunger. The pain you're running from might be the very thing building you into who you're meant to become. It's easy to ask, why me? When things fall apart. It's easy to feel like life's unfair. But what if instead of asking, why me? You started asking, what is this trying to teach me? Every struggle carries a lesson. Every storm has something to show you. The challenge isn't there to stop you. It's there to show you what's inside you. Because strength isn't something you find. It's something you discover through hardship. There was a young woman who grew up in poverty, raised by a single mother. She faced constant rejection in her career, was told she wasn't good enough, that she'd never make it, but she refused to quit. She used every no as motivation to get better. Every door that closed pushed her to knock on another one. Years later, she built a company worth millions and used her success to lift others up. When asked how she did it, she said, "My struggle was my strength. If it had been easy, I would have quit a long time ago." That's the mindset that changes everything. You see, pain will visit all of us, but suffering is a choice. You can let pain destroy you, or you can let it define you. You can let it break you, or you can let it build you. It's all about how you choose to see it. Some people spend their lives resenting what hurt them, while others rise above it and use it as fuel. One choice leads to bitterness, the other leads to growth. When you look back on your life, you'll realize that the things you thought were breaking you were actually building you. Every disappointment, every heartbreak, every loss, it was sharpening your character, deepening your empathy, strengthening your will. It was teaching you patience, humility, and perspective. You can't see the full picture while you're in the middle of it. But when you come out on the other side, you'll understand why it had to happen the way it did. And don't ever think your struggles disqualify you from greatness. They qualify you for it. They give you a depth, a fire, a perspective that comfort could never give. You'll be able to stand in front of others and say, "I've been through the fire and I'm still standing." That's power. That's purpose. The world doesn't need perfect people. It needs people who've been broken and still believe, who've fallen and still rise, who've suffered and still give. Sometimes your struggle isn't even about you. It's about the people who will one day draw strength from your story. Someone's waiting to hear how you made it. Someone's waiting to see that it's possible. You might not realize it now, but your survival could be the hope someone else needs. And that's why you can't give up. You can't stop halfway through the fire. You've got to keep pushing, keep believing, keep fighting, because every moment of struggle is pushing you closer to the person you were created to be. Life isn't trying to break you, it's building you, it's stretching you, refining you, shaping you. The pressure you feel is producing power. The weight you carry is building strength. The struggle you're in right now is equipping you for something greater than you can imagine. So don't despise it. Don't run from it. Lean into it, learn from it, because one day you'll look back and realize that every tear, every sleepless night, every moment you thought you couldn't go on was molding into the person you were always meant to become. The struggle is not your weakness, it's your weapon. Use it. Let it sharpen you. Let it teach you. Let it build the fire inside you that nothing and no one can put out. Because once you've been through the struggle and come out stronger, there's nothing left in this world that can stop you. Everything starts in the mind. Every victory, every defeat, every dream that ever became real, it all began as a thought. Before you build anything with your hands, you build it in your head. Before you take a single step, your mind decides whether it's possible or not. That's why protecting your mind is the most important thing you'll ever do. Because if you lose the battle up here, you'll lose it everywhere else. The mind is powerful, but it's also fragile. It's like a garden. If you don't take care of it, weeds will grow. Negative thoughts, doubts, fears, they'll creep in slowly, and before you know it, they've taken over. You start to believe the lies that say you're not enough, you're not smart enough, you're not worthy enough. And when you start believing those lies, your actions follow. That's why you have to pull those weeds out before they take root. You have to feed your mind with the right things: faith, gratitude, focus, discipline, and purpose. Because whatever you plant in your mind grows into the life you live. Every day, the world will try to plant something in your head. Turn on the news, it's fear. Scroll through social media, it's comparison. Listen to the wrong voices, it's doubt. That's why you have to guard your mind like your life depends on it, because it does. You have to choose what you allow in, what you focus on, and what you believe. Your mind is the gatekeeper of your destiny, and if you let negativity in, it'll infect everything around you. There's a saying from a Navy SEAL: you don't rise to the occasion, you fall to the level of your training. And that training starts in your mind. Before those soldiers face a battle, they've already fought it in their heads thousands of times. They've trained their thoughts to stay calm under pressure, to keep moving when everything around them screams to stop. That's the same kind of mental toughness we need in life. Because when hard times hit, and they will hit, your success won't come down to luck. It'll come down to your mindset. How you talk to yourself when no one's listening determines how far you'll go. You've got to wake up every single day and train your mind like it's a muscle. Feed it good things. Remind yourself, I am capable. I am worthy, I am enough. Not because it's some cute affirmation, but because it's the truth. You were built with purpose. You were designed for more than survival. You were made to grow, to lead, to create, to overcome. But you'll never step into that if your mind is filled with fear and limitation. The thoughts you entertain today will become the life you live tomorrow. If you think small, you'll live small. If you think average, you'll live average. But if you think strong, if you train your mind to believe in possibility, you can move mountains. You can change your circumstances, your future, and even the lives of the people around you. But understand this: protecting your mind isn't just about thinking positive. It's about being intentional with your focus. It's about taking responsibility for what you feed your thoughts. If you constantly fill your mind with chaos, don't be surprised when you feel anxious. If you spend your energy talking about problems instead of solutions, don't be shocked when your life feels stuck. What you focus on expands. Focus on fear, you'll find more fear. Focus on gratitude, you'll find more to be grateful for. I remember hearing about a young man who wanted to change his life. He grew up surrounded by negativity, poverty, violence, people telling him he'd never make it. He could have easily become a product of that environment. But one day, he decided to change what he allowed into his mind. He stopped listening to voices that fed his doubt and started listening to voices that fed his faith. He read books, listened to mentors, spoke affirmations over himself every morning. And slowly, his mind changed, his confidence grew. His circumstances didn't change overnight, but his mindset did, and that changed everything. Your mind is the command center of your life. Whatever you believe about yourself becomes your reality. If you constantly tell yourself, I can't, you won't. If you tell yourself, it's too hard, it will be. But when you tell yourself, I will find a way, you start to look for one. The difference between success and failure often isn't talent, it's mindset. Two people can face the same challenge, but one sees an obstacle, the other sees an opportunity. The difference, one protected their mind, the other didn't. Think about it. Every great athlete, every leader, every innovator, before they won in public, they won in private. They won in their mind. They visualized victory long before anyone else saw it. That's not magic, that's focus. That's mental discipline. They understood that your mind has to arrive at the destination before your body ever does. You can't live a life of success with a mind full of defeat. And that's why you've got to be careful who you listen to, because not everyone speaks life. Some people are living in fear, and they'll try to pass that fear onto you. They'll project their limitations and call it advice. Protect your mind from that. Surround yourself with people who speak faith, who challenge you to think bigger, who remind you of what's possible. The company you keep feeds your mindset, good or bad. There's a saying that your mind is like a thermostat. It sets the temperature for your life. You can't live on a higher level if your mind is still set on a lower one. You have to raise your internal standard. Tell yourself, I refuse to let fear control me. I refuse to let negativity dictate my actions. I refuse to let failure define my future. That kind of mindset doesn't happen by accident. It happens through daily discipline. Every morning, you have a choice. You can wake up and let the world shape your thoughts, or you can take control and shape them yourself. You can feed your fear, or you can feed your faith. You can dwell on what's missing, or you can focus on what's possible. The power is yours, because no one can control your mind unless you give them permission. The truth is, life will test you. You'll face disappointment, betrayal, loss, and pain. But the real battle isn't out there, it's in here. If you can stay strong mentally, you can overcome anything physically. You can be broke but still believe you'll rise. You can be tired but still choose to push forward. You can be scared but still act in courage. That's the kind of mindset that separates survivors from conquerors. So protect your mind. Guard it like it's sacred, because it is. It's where your faith lives, where your courage is born, where your vision begins. Don't let the noise of the world drown out the voice inside you that says, you can. Because when your mind is strong, your body will follow. When your thoughts are right, your life will align. Everything starts in the mind. That's where the real battle is won. And when you learn to win up here, there isn't a force on earth that can stop you from winning out there. Most people never start because they're waiting for certainty. They want to see the whole picture, the full plan, every detail lined up perfectly before they move. They say, when the time is right, I'll begin, or when I have more money, more time, more confidence, then I'll go for it. But the truth is, the time will never be perfect. Life doesn't hand out guarantees. Faith doesn't show you the full staircase. It just tells you to take the first step. You don't need to see the destination to start walking. You just need to move. Every great journey begins the same way, with one small step. Every dream that became a reality started as a decision to try, even when the outcome wasn't clear. That's what separates those who make it from those who only talk about action. Not comfort, not certainty. Just the courage to begin. The road to greatness isn't lit all the way. It unfolds as you walk. Each step reveals the next, but only to those who dare to take it. Think about a seed. When it's planted in the ground, it's surrounded by darkness. It can't see the sun. It doesn't know what's above the soil. But still, it pushes through. Inch by inch, quietly, consistently, it grows. It doesn't wait for the perfect moment. It creates it. And when the right season comes, it breaks through the surface, reaching toward the light. That's what faith looks like. That's what action feels like. You might be buried under pressure, uncertainty, and fear right now, but that doesn't mean you're finished. It might just mean you're being planted. The hardest part of any dream is the beginning. That's where the fear is loudest. That's where doubt tries to convince you to stay still. You'll hear voices, some from others, some from yourself, saying, what if it doesn't work? But what if it does? What if the life you're meant to live is waiting just one step outside your comfort zone? You'll never know unless you move. The people who achieve great things aren't the ones who have it all figured out. They're the ones who start before they're ready. There's a story about a man who wanted to run a marathon, but he was out of shape, overweight, and had never run a mile in his life. For weeks, he told himself he couldn't do it. The distance seemed impossible. But one morning, something changed. He didn't overthink it. He just put on his shoes and ran to the end of his street. That was it. The next day, he went a little further, then a little more. Months later, he crossed the finish line of his first marathon. He said, I never saw the finish line when I started. I just kept taking one more step. That's life. You don't need to know how it'll all come together. You just have to start moving. The universe rewards movement. When you act, doors begin to open. When you step forward, opportunities you couldn't see before start to appear. You may not understand the how, but faith isn't about understanding. It's about trusting. Trust that if you take the step, the path will appear. Trust that if you show up, life will meet you halfway. Every small action builds momentum, and momentum builds miracles. Don't underestimate the power of small beginnings. One small decision today could change everything tomorrow. One phone call, one conversation, one brave yes can shift the entire direction of your life. History is full of people who started small and changed the world. A young teacher in India who began by tutoring kids under a tree. Today, that idea became a school that educates thousands. A woman who started writing in a coffee shop because she couldn't afford heat in her apartment. Her name was J.K. Rowling. A man who built computers in his garage. His name was Steve Jobs. None of them saw the full picture when they started. They just took the first step. Sometimes we get so caught up in what could go wrong that we forget what could go right. Fear of failure freezes more dreams than failure ever could. But failure isn't the end. It's part of the journey. Every misstep teaches you something. Every setback gives you strength. You can't fail if you don't quit. The only real failure is not trying. I remember hearing about a woman who wanted to start her own business, but was terrified of losing her savings. She waited for years, telling herself she needed more preparation, more research, more assurance. Then one day she realized something powerful. She had spent more time preparing to live than actually living. That day, she took the leap. It wasn't easy, but it was worth it. She didn't know every answer, but she learned along the way. And that's what taking the first step is all about. It's about learning in motion. You don't have to be perfect to begin. You just have to begin to get better. There's a moment when you'll have to trust yourself. Trust that everything you've been through has prepared you for this moment. The late nights, the rejections, the doubts, they've all built the strength you need to step forward. Don't wait until you feel ready. Readiness is a myth. You become ready through the act of doing. The path to your destiny won't be revealed all at once. It'll come piece by piece, like puzzle parts falling into place as you move forward. You'll take a step and something new will appear. A mentor, a lesson, an opportunity. Each one will lead you closer to where you're meant to be. That's how life works. It rewards motion. It blesses those who dare to move, even in uncertainty. Think of the first step as a declaration. It's you saying to the world, I believe in myself enough to start. That decision alone separates you from most people because most never take it. They stay stuck in someday. Someday becomes next week, next year, next life. But you, if you decide today to move, you change the story. You turn someday into now. You don't have to climb the whole mountain in today. You just have to take one step, one brave, intentional step in the direction of your purpose. Maybe it's writing the first page of your book. Maybe it's signing up for that class. Maybe it's walking into that meeting. Maybe it's simply believing that you can. Because once you take that first step, something shifts inside you. You start to see possibilities instead of problems. You start to feel hope instead of fear. Life doesn't respond to hesitation. It responds to faith in action. It doesn't matter how small your step is. It just matters that you take it. Because once you move, life moves with you. Doors that were once closed begin to open. People you were meant to meet appear. Opportunities align. It's almost as if the universe was waiting for you to decide. The truth is, you already have everything you need to begin. You don't need permission. You don't need perfection. You just need the courage to start with what you have, right where you are. Take the first step and watch how the rest unfolds. You don't need someone to save you. You don't need someone to fix you. You don't need to become someone else. You have everything you need right here, right now. It's in your heart, your mind, your spirit, your story. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop doubting the power inside you. The world doesn't need a copy of someone else. It needs the best version of you. So stand tall, breathe deep, and remember this, you already have everything you need to rise, to change, to win, and to live the life you were meant to live.